Right.
David.
You have things.
Do you have things, David?
I have things. We both
Right.
have things.
You do you. Do you? I mean, you are the, CEO, CFO, CWO,
Mhm.
the
That's right.
CBC,
That's right.
the CDFC.
Mhm.
You are the MSNBC.
Yeah.
You
All those.
are the GOD. You are the GOAT.
Excellent. Ryan, today on the
Goliath
show.
Slayer.
Well, I'll take that one.
Huge cock on the guy, right?
Ryan, there's a Russia-Ukraine update. There's an update, Ryan. We're getting close to something. Might not be good.
I would still be
Might not
wearing
be
that
bad.
fucking bucket hat, dude. You remember when I was like, I'm not taking this off till World War III is over?
Put it on.
It's fucking 3 years. My neck would be. Remember, I was like, my neck's gonna be so jacked. I'm missing out. It's free
Suspicious raid by the FBI, Ryan. We'll talk about that. A little late to the party, but I think it's worth mentioning the changing of the names of some warships.
Pride Month got thrown out, right? Isn't that a thing?
Yes. We're gonna talk about a lawyer who wasn't. They're a little. They're waiting for the facts, Ryan. Let's just say we're gonna talk about a
The
lawyer.
lawyer is waiting for facts.
Yeah. What do you know about? Is it Palantir?
Palantir.
Palantir. Is that
Like the
that
thing
what it is?
Saruman. David, it's just named after the thing fucking Saruman uses to talk to Saruman. Like the guy that created the fucking ring uses a Palantir. It's a portal, David. It's a witch hole. It's a Stargate. It is a fucking, what's the Dumbledore memory thing? I always forget the name of it. It's such a powerful
Did it have a
part in that
specific
movie.
name?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a name. I've looked it up. Look it up. You don't have.
Eve, what was the,
What's
was there
the
a name?
Dumbledore memory? The memory keeper. The Dumbledore memory keeper called.
He puts his head in and he can see the pensieve.
I bet you look up the root of that. It means something fucking cool. But that scene and that in the book is so powerful for that allegory. But yeah, Palantir. David, just like Romulus and Remus, the new direwolves, David.
It's probably
just Veep. Just Veep, David.
I personally really want to talk about this. Turning Point USA. They have like I don't know what the fuck you would call this, like a strong independent woman summit or some shit. I don't know what the fuck you would even call it for conservatives. The lineup's fucking wild.
Did Lauren Byrne go to that or whatever?
Ryan, all AI is just Indians, or at least some AI is Indians.
Dot or feathered Indians, David?
Dot. You said you want to talk about the SCOTUS is going to be ruling on whether or not
they're banning AR-15s.
Well, no, they're ruling on the bannability of AR-15s, right?
They're banning AR-15s, David.
Well, they're ruling if they could ban them. What is that sound, Ryan? Is that you? What is that? You hear that? Remember when I had a smoke alarm and the person complained about it?
Is it gone?
No. Do you hear it?
No.
Is it audio?
I hear it. You don't hear it. Oh, it's audio. Yeah.
Is it audio? I don't know the rights needs to be.
Is it gone?
It's gone.
Did you plug it and plug it back in? I certainly did. Just put it back in, Daddy.
You did a hard reset?
No, hard reset would be smashing my phone on the ground and buying a new one. I don't know why we think turning your phone off is a hard reset.
And you want to talk about clouds again. You
cloud, yeah. Today on the program, David, besides birds, they're the things that hang above our heads that mock me, okay? They don't mock. Birds don't mock me, but...
What would you like to start with, Ryan? As always, I will give you the selection.
What was the second one you said?
FBI?
No, the other second one.
The third one or the first one?
The other second one, David.
It's back, Ryan. Navy warships.
Let's go.
Navy warships?
Let's go. Fuck yeah.
All right, Ryan, I'm gonna defer to you here. Are you ready for this?
Because I'm an expert at semen, David.
You're a semen expert, so I will.
I know how many calories per protein per fucking dollar cent your comes worth, Dave. Should really listen.
That's the wrong semen. Well, it's kind of fitting actually. Breaking news: Pete Hegseth has ordered the Navy to review the names of ships honoring civil rights leaders such as Harvey Milk and Harriet Tubman. Okay, now if we're going to talk about important historical figures, I'll give you Harriet Tubman. Ryan, do you know who Harvey Milk is?
No, but we're about to find the fuck out.
I will read, and then we will read something else.
Yeah.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ordered the review, Ryan, and this is New York Times, so this is going to be glorious. Harvey Milk was one of the country's first openly gay elected officials and a Navy veteran, which the stereotypes write themselves, Ryan. News of Mr. Hegseth's decision reported earlier.
I'm in the Navy. Fucking A, dude. Come on.
Comes just days he was surrounded by semen. He's never been more excited.
Isn't there a Quagmire episode of Family Guy of this, David? That Quagmire's like, yeah, my dad's the best Navy guy ever. He loves all this.
Yeah,
he's just sucking them all off.
Mr. Hegseth's order was intended as a rebuke of Pride Month, keeping with the Trump administration's drive to expunge diversity, equity, and inclusion, which they tell you is a conspiracy theory when you bring it up. And then when you do something against it, they now admit that it exists.
Well, the truth, the now known truth, David.
They tell us it turned out to be true. They tell us DEI is fake. It's conspiracy theory, and then we're like, okay, perfect. Well, then we're just going to do this merit based. You're now expunging. It's a rebuke of diversity, equity, inclusion. You said it doesn't exist. Mr. Milk is one of several trailblazers whose names have been identified for possible removal from naval vessels.
Dude, I have so many bad intrusive thoughts about a name. It's fucking crazy. They were milking this guy, all right. Fucking milkman in that fucking...
According to a senior official familiar with the memo from John Phelan, the Secretary of the Navy, they include Thurgood Marshall, the first Black Supreme Court Justice, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, another Supreme Court Justice who became a feminist icon, Harriet Tubman. I'm going to punch. The studio is not sacred.
Never is, dude.
Lucy Stone, a prominent abolitionist and suffragist. Medgar Evers, a civil rights leader who was assassinated by a member of the Ku Klux Klan. Cesar Chavez, a labor leader. And another labor leader. Yeah. What I really want to know... I want to know more than this, Ryan. What do you... Get over here. He's fucking clicking around, and he must stop. He must be stopped. Ryan,
your battery's going, David.
He must be stopped. He is 10 years past his life expectancy, and someone needs to take him out. He must be put out of his misery, Ryan. I'm going to donate him to Christy Gnome.
Holy shit, Dave.
He is a wildly ugly dog, though.
He's trying his best.
He is a wildly
ugly dog. No, he's not. No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
Look how photogenic he is.
Look at the face on that thing.
Beautiful.
It is. That's not beautiful. That is anything but beautiful.
The only problem is death.
He smells like death and he looks like death. That's because he's supposed to be dead. Take your dog and stop him from clicking. I swear, I'll call Christy Gnome right now. I swear to God. Harvey Milk, Ryan. I'm just gonna on a hunch. I'm just hunching. I don't know anything about this guy. I just Googled Harvey Milk pedophile because I just know this is. Why is Harvey Milk still dangerous 46 years after he was assassinated? This is off to a great start. I suspect this was left out of the New York Times article.
Is this really an article, David?
Yeah, now this is a different article here. The Temecula Valley School Board in Southern California wants to erase slain gay rights leader Harvey Milk from their history. Well, Southern California tends to be extremely right-leaning, if I'm not mistaken, Ryan. They must be doing it to rebuke diversity, equity, and inclusion.
I'm sure they'll tell us, David. I'm sure.
On May 16th, the board voted 3-2 to ban the use of social studies curriculum for the district's 18th elementary school because it mentions milk and discusses the existence of the LGBTQ community and gay rights movement. At the meeting, board member Danny Gonzalez falsely called Milk the first openly gay person elected to public office in California a known pedophile. I need more of this story. Falsely, of course, Ryan. Of course, it was falsely.
Is it false or it just didn't turn out to be true yet?
But we must wait for the facts, Ryan.
Yeah, it's false now, but we'll wait for the facts in case it turns out to be true, and then I still have credibility.
What I want? Give me the specifics. Why do people say this? It's ignorant and it's offensive. This isn't Texas or Florida. This is a quote. In the Golden State, our kids have freedom to learn. Congrats, Mr. Komrosky. You have our attention. Stay tuned. Okay, Texas or Florida, settle down. I hear him clicking. I'm going to kick him. I will kick him.
I will do dog abuse live on air.
He has lived long enough.
It's not abuse. Climb in the pods, but get in the pods.
Good. He found a place to lay down. He should stay there
pods,
forever.
cousins.
I need information, Ryan. Should I grok this?
Yeah, somebody's got to grok something.
I gotta grok this. Let's grok this. Come on.
Grok me, daddy.
Let's see.
I wonder if they start with it's controversial, but
controversial. But here's the actual court thing where he was found. Allegations that Harvey Milk, the pioneering gay rights activist and San Francisco supervisor, was a pedophile stem primarily from his relationship with Jack Galen McKinley, a 16-year-old runaway when Milk was 33. This is documented in Randy Schilt's biography. I love that it says allegations. The mayor of Castro Street, which notes the relationship began in the mid-1960s in New York. Some sources, like SaveCalifornia.com, claim Milk had multiple relationships with underage boys, but Schilt's accounts focuses on McKinley, who was reportedly 18 when he traveled with Milk to California. McKinley later struggled with drug addiction and died by suicide, with critics like Matt Barber and the American Family Association cite as evidence of harm. Defenders argue the relationship wasn't pedophilia, as McKinley was above the age of consent in New York, which was then 14, and California 16 in most states at the time. So it's like kind of the same. This is a similar argument to when we looked up the old Prophet Muhammad there, Ryan. When we talked about the underage sex wife that he so generously waited until she was 9 to consummate. Basically what they said was, yeah, but at that time it was normal. So he was in his 30s, and the boy was 16. Yeah. 33 and 16. So, yeah, name the boat something else.
That's the person that had that movie that came out about them, correct? I'm pretty sure there was.
Was it literally called Milk?
Yeah, right?
I believe so. Did they mention the pedophilia in the movie?
I don't know, never watched it.
It's probably a
I
super
wonder if they
great
make
movie.
Cleopatra Black in it too, David.
The evidence suggests Milk had at least one relationship with a teenager, which is controversial by today's standards, but not illegal at the time. Claims of widespread predatory behavior lack corroboration beyond McKinley's case. Oh, other than the case. The debate is heavily politicized, with both sides framing it to suit their agendas. Anti-gay groups inflate the allegations, while supporters downplay the or contextualize them. Always dig into primary sources, like the fucking book that we just told you about. Yeah, that
the primary source of the dude being so traumatized later in life, he fucking killed himself.
Yeah, but it was legal at the time, right?
What, suicide or getting fucked by an older guy?
Getting just the whole pedophilia thing was legal.
Why? Because they didn't make a law that made it illegal?
Well, there was a law. It was just a little more lax, Ryan. 14 in New York, 16 in California.
But you need 18 to buy a cigarette.
Well, I don't know about. We could look up the laws, Ryan. It might have been different back then. Different times.
Different. Look up a cigarette, David.
You want me to look up the law? What?
Yeah, law in California. Yeah,
this was back in.
I love that we relate politics 60s. Back to the culture, David. All right, so look up the cigarette laws in the 60s in California.
So, cigarette laws in 60s California.
You grokking this?
Yeah, of course.
I've been ChatGPT and everything in my life. It's fucking great, dude. Like, hey, this is going on. What do I do?
See, super consistent, Ryan. In the 1960s, California's cigarette laws were far less restrictive than today. The minimum age to purchase tobacco was 16.
All right, so you could smoke a cigarette, you could fuck a guy.
So 16 is the new 16 is the new 18.
16 is the new 18, dude. Yeah. City of love, dude.
Yeah, 16 is the new 18.
Dude, no, Hollywood's whack, dude. They knew. Yeah, I just got to get her I meet her in middle school and I fuck her by high school. What is wrong with you people?
And yet it was more, should I say more conservative? California was more conservative than New York, in that New York was 14. 14 was the age of consent in New York. Ryan, I'm sure you still...
You know what's crazy, too, is when you think about it, it's like, well, this might be like a cultural thing from immigrants at that time. It's like, all right, if that's the thing, if they were here married already and they come here, I guess you can't unmarry people in fucking America. You can't divorce, like, I don't know how you do that. But you're not going to come here and get married to your fucking 13-year-old. What the hell?
Well, this has kind of come up recently. Several people have come forward and said, listen, Islam flat out does not coincide with the laws we have in this country. Like they can't mix. So now you end up in a really weird situation where your laws could potentially, do they violate people's First Amendment rights to practice that religion? So like if, for example, say it's illegal in Texas to have multiple wives. Okay. But a lot of Muslims, Islam very much allows multiple wives. So if you're Muslim, practicing Muslim, you live in Texas, are you allowed to have multiple wives or not? It's a hairy thing, and that's like one small example, and you can expand that to a lot of different levels.
I wonder if you could Gronk what in Islam directly conflicts with the Western view of laws or something. You know what I mean? Like, could you Gronk? Does Islam clash with the Western legal system? Does Sharia law and Islam clash with the Western legal system?
It says Islam as a religion and legal tradition can intersect with Western legal systems in complex ways, depending on context, interpretation, and specific legal frameworks. The question of whether it clashes requires unpacking both Islamic legal principles, primarily Sharia, and diverse nature of Western legal systems, which are rooted in compatibility. So,
all right, now do the same question, but just switch Islam to Christianity.
Okay.
We did this the other day with Muhammad and Jesus, so I just want to be consistent. I don't want to just think that I'm anti-Islam. Asking the same machine.
Christianity as a religion with a long history in the West has significantly shaped Western legal systems, particularly through Roman law, canon law, and Enlightenment era reforms. However, tensions can arise between certain Christian doctrines and practices and modern Western legal frameworks, which are largely secular and rooted in individual rights, equality, and pluralism. Below
Gay
is
marriage,
express analysis.
abortion. Yeah. Isn't it weird that the things in Christianity that clash with the legal system, David, are the very things we fight about? Isn't that a little weird? Like abortion and gay marriage, and like those are
Well, that's
really two super easy ones.
yeah, yeah, but that's it
Not
is
saying that it's left or good, right? I'm just saying, like,
no, but
if I'm just looking
it's
objectively, it's weird that we're basically fighting over like the things that clash with Christianity are like the most extreme things.
yeah, but here's what's different about that. So, if you're a Christian, you don't morally believe that people should have abortions.
That's right.
Um,
You should ask Gronk what is Sharia law.
no, but here, but if it is legal to have an abortion, you as a Christian still shouldn't have one because it's morally that's that's different because of the way it's layered. Whereas if something is encouraged and that thing is illegal, now it's a different context.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson kind of talks about like why, like, not all laws are moral and not all morality can be shaped by law. It's this weird conundrum.
So that's
Because it's kind of like counterintuitive to be selfless. You know what I mean? Like the idea that you would share with people when you have limited resources. I brought up, Jordan Peterson brought up, it's weird that humans in very early traditions sacrifice what little food they had for a god that doesn't eat. It's like, it's kind of complex thinking, you know, to think that they're offering, they would like burn food for God. They'd be like, all right, not every day or whatever, but that's what those ceremonies and feasts were. They don't really have a lot of food. You could barely feed all your villagers every day. But your feast day, not that we shouldn't give thanks, but I mean that the principle and ritual is counterintuitive to natural survival. But maybe our humans get content, David. No, I'm just pontificating. Sorry, dude.
no. There's a and I don't certainly know a lot of specifics about this, but I do vaguely recall a story, and I believe it's Bible based, but it's about charity, and that the context of the charity basically is important because what you were saying is like they didn't have much food to burn, but they were still burning it in like good faith. The context of charity, basically, it's people donating, okay, and there's wealthy people who are giving very little, okay, but then somebody who is poor gives a higher percentage of what they're giving, but even though it's less physical value, it means more because it was more to them. So the I guess kind of the picture of that is like the value comes more from you than anything else.
I also think, to go further, David, the value in you, if you can meet somebody that's like in a similar situation, you see the value in each other and you can help each other through suffering. It's like everybody kind of needs a friend when you're suffering, I guess. That one.
Brian.
Yeah.
We've talked about on the show many times these fake like groups that are clearly FBI's. I don't remember.
Never happens. Never happens.
It's always like, what was the one? It's called like the Patriot something or whatever. But all these people have like fully covered faces and stuff, and it's like, no, feds, obviously, duh. I'm still convinced that the KKK is feds. Like, I know it's supposed to, like, people act like it's like a massive problem in this country, but like, I would love to meet somebody who met somebody who was in the Ku Klux. It's like nobody. The amount of people in the KKK in the country is like got to be like such a wildly small percentage. But the reason I say that, right, because I don't trust the feds, Ryan. But here's why I say this. They raided an apartment building, I suppose, and I believe it's the state of Washington, and seems legit for sure.
Looks like that Las Vegas hotel room.
It sure does. We got some firearms. I'm trying to bring this up and see, like, yeah, we got some firearms, some ammo,
Yeah.
scope stuff.
Yeah, those perfect those flags with the fold marks still in the fucking package.
Yeah. Clearly they were Nazis, but they just realized they were Nazis like 2 minutes before this picture was taken. Yeah, Ryan, the flags literally look like they literally just busted them out for the picture. Like they're perfectly creased still. So like either this is
Dude, there's no dirt on none of them. They're not like frayed. They've just been hanging on the wall.
either this is completely
How
a
long
setup.
How long did the guy live at the fucking apartment?
Yeah.
He's just a brand new Nazi.
It's a complete setup, or the guy like just realized he was a Nazi. Like,
was the Kanye YouTube song? Like, he had fucking burned copies of the Kanye song.
It could have been.
Is he drinking Black Rifle coffee, David?
Yeah. Dude,
the crease marks on the flags are dope.
The crease marks on the flags are wild.
I wonder how long it takes for crease marks to fall out of a Nazi flag, David. Did you know?
I'd imagine you can get a crease for a good couple weeks, probably, right?
I'd wager. Gronk, based on the dimensions of this photograph, can you estimate? I mean, how long till I ask AI that, David? Fucking bad computer? I have the bad computer in my pocket now. Computer. Scan the environment and give me the last 60 hours of data. People think I'm crazy. I got told I'm crazy for thinking I'm a god on Earth again. Fucking hilarious. Fucking simple. Like,
it's saying about 1 to 4 weeks tops.
Is that what Gronk said?
Yeah.
So those flags are.
It says there's a lot of
variables.
Yeah, a lot of variables. Untreated light creases 1 to 4 weeks if hung or flown regularly, as natural movement smooths the fabric. Untreated deep creases.
Like packaging lines, Dave?
Yeah.
How long are those
treated creases, steaming and ironing hours, which obviously those were probably just packaged. So I would say that's a packaged light crease.
Machine crease.
1 to 4 weeks tops.
All right. You must have just got
He just
Clearly you can look at his Amazon history, David, because I don't think he bought those local. I don't think his local store was hanging. Well, obviously they weren't hanging them, David, when he bought them because they wouldn't have crease marks in the fucking flag.
No, they were on a shelf for sure.
The people that direct movies are telling you this guy is a whatever.
Do they not? Don't they have any like hanging around at the facility that are uncreased that they could bring over to make it look somewhat legit?
Can I have an authentic Nazi flag, please?
Can you guys do a better job at trying to sell this? At least try.
Did you guys fucking cricket that in the bottom of the police station?
They should try. I'm kind of offended that they didn't try because that's what they think of you.
Isn't it hilarious that like that's the first thing I noticed? Like, why is there
They're blatant. Like it looks like they just took it out of the package, then took the photo.
Lie right in public. They don't give a fuck, dude. They'll say you're a child pedophile or fucking you smuggle immigrants. What do they get paid for in England?
Sex trafficking, right?
Yeah, of course, David.
Yes, of course. The same case that
got thrown out in another country.
Yeah,
Got to try it again.
Yeah.
Can't have double jeopardy now, David. But
well, we did find
double
somebody.
Country. We did find somebody to run your case. Yeah, where are they? Oh, England. I'm in fucking Bucharest, dude.
Right.
You're gonna annex me to like fucking the worst dungeon, and I'm gonna get fucked the rest of my life till I die. It's gonna be terrifying.
Ryan, we're still trying to negotiate
pay
with Russia and Ukraine.
Pay for me. You're supposed to pay me.
It's. I don't know how to pay you, Ryan. You don't have Venmo.
You send it like.
Do you have PayPal? Can I DoorDash you specifically? Can I request you as a DoorDash? Is that a thing?
Dude, one time for Uber, I dropped off an Xbox and a TV to a dude.
Is that a thing? Can people request you specifically? You can go in and be
I
like, "Oh,
don't-
that dude was cool."
I don't know.
You don't know, so you're just making.
I've
sure.
never, David. I am not a consumer of their product. I like just use their shit to make money. I am not the problem here. I promote the problem,
you
but I'm
don't-
not the problem.
Tommy
I'm the
Loren
drug
would be
dealer
very
that sells
upset
you the
if
drug. Yeah,
if you
I'd sell you
DoorDash.
the drug, tell you you're a loser for taking it, but I'm like, here you go, dude. If you want it, you loser, but you got to pay me. And there you go. Just pay me. You want McDonald's? Here you go, dude. It's the way it worked, Dave. I never make the rules.
We will bring up Tommy Loren again as we get into later in the show, Ryan.
Is she the gift that keeps giving?
Well, she didn't give this, but it ties back to her.
The
original
turning point, USA.
Yeah, that's.
Women are really horny and lonely out there, aren't they?
Ryan, this is
My
proposal
we offer,
your
which I
country's
believe
leader.
our partners can support,
думаю, що нас партнери можуть підтримати, але ми пропонуємо
is that we propose to the Russians a ceasefire until the leaders meet.
зустрічі лідерів.
We offer a meeting any day starting from Monday. Why ceasefire before leaders meet? Because we can meet, and if there is no mutual understanding, if there is not desire for de-escalation, if there is no desire and vision how to put an end to it, then the ceasefire will be over the same day.
Деескалації, немає бажання і поглядів, як це завершити, то
It can be initiated unilaterally by the Russians. Please feel free to do so.
Here's the problem.
Dude, did he just go kick the guy in the shin and the guy's coming back to kick him hard and he's like, but big brother, this guy's bullying me?
Well, this is what gets tricky, okay? Because we now get Ryan, I always rely on you for this. How many years into this conflict? That is definitely World War III.
2022. I called in February, March of 2022. I said,
22?
yeah, I said
Why does
we've
it
been
not
potting
feel like it's been going on that long?
we've been podding 5 years, dude. I'm 21 years old, David. I said in February or March of 2022 that we are in World War II, World War III, and I'm not taking my helmet off until it's over.
Okay, so
We're in the Second World War III, David. Officially, I'm declaring it today, David. This is the start.
so
This is the start. No, David. What are we on?
We're
What is
3
it?
years.
June 6th right now? What day is it? June 6th?
4th.
June 4th, 2025. I, Ryan Keesack, and Dave, 1773, declaring war, David. This is the Second World War III. Declaring it again. Just for when the facts come out and we historically look. This might be like 30. I might be dead. But when they're going to look, they're going to be like, yeah, it definitely happened. Like COVID. You know?
So we're 3 years in. Okay, so
3 years.
my point is, when you get this deep into a conflict, let's call it conflict, because nobody declared war, Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Ceasefire.
Okay,
It's not a ceasefire, right?
let's not even try to include all the details that we've included on the show in the past. Let's just go with the premise, the narrative. Russia started this war, okay? Completely unprovoked, Russia went in and started annihilating Ukrainians. Okay, let's just we'll even use the mainstream narrative to make this point. Now, as they have been fighting this conflict for 3 years, okay, and somebody is actually trying to stop it. Zelensky's saying, well, why should we have a ceasefire? They started it. We're going to keep going. And since they started it, they can initiate a ceasefire. Okay. But Russia is not going to initiate a ceasefire because you're firing at them as well. So regardless of who started it, they have to keep firing because you're firing. So, Zelensky, a ceasefire has to be both parties agreeing to stop. Because one party will not stop if the other doesn't, because then they're just putting their people at risk. So a ceasefire, and we're seeing this exact same thing with Israel and in Palestine right now. Because neither side is letting up, so then it's just going to turn into complete annihilation. And that's what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. It's just as we're trying to stop them from killing each other, they won't stop killing each other even for a temporary span of time. And that makes it really difficult to make a peace deal because Trump and just United States in general, who really should have no dog in this fight at all. They should just completely stay out. And if you guys annihilate each other, I don't care. But United States, always trying to pretend to be the good guys here, are trying to, as Trump has repeatedly said, stop the killing. So Trump gets Putin to the table, okay, and says, Putin, here's the terms. The terms, as we've already discussed, is very difficult to nail down because Russia is, let's be honest, they're winning the war. I mean, Ukraine has all of NATO and the United States and hundreds of billions of dollars, and they are just hanging on. So without all that, Ukraine's toast. So for all intents and purposes, Russia's winning the war. So now you're going to go to the people who are winning and say, we need you to stop winning and also give up all your land because that's what the guy who's losing wants. It's a really hard thing to convince another country of. So you're winning, but please stop. Also give back all the land you won. Also give up everything. Also, Ukraine can still be in NATO. That's what Zelensky's trying to do. And I'm not blaming Zelensky as the leader of Ukraine. That's what you want to do. You want to do what's best for your country. So give us all the land back. We still get to be in NATO. And you guys just stop killing us. Yeah, that's great for Ukraine, but you have to make reasonable deals now because you have now been 3 years into a conflict with Russia. So Trump's really trying to do what is almost impossible at this point because we're 3 years in, when what should have happened is when Biden was in office and it first started, there should have been an immediate meeting at the table. What did Putin say when he was on Tucker Carlson's show? The Biden administration didn't even reach out. Didn't even talk to him. Could you imagine? A conflict like that breaks out. It's all over the news. It's all over the media. We're all talking about it. You talk to Zelensky. You don't even talk to Putin. And that's in Putin's own words. He could have lied. I'm just saying. This is a very impossible situation. Unfortunately, somebody has to concede here. And there's no reason for Putin to concede. And while trying to do all of this, we can't even get a ceasefire for temporary. So here's what unfortunately has to happen, and it's going to be a bad look. But here's the only way this is going to work. And it only works if all of NATO's on board, because this is what happened last time. The United States met with Zelensky. Zelensky didn't like what the United States had to say. All of NATO completely turned on the United States, backed Ukraine against our will, and nothing mattered anyway, because he's got however many countries he can run to. But here's what's going to have to happen. The United States has to look at Zelensky. They have to say, listen, we're not funding you. We're not giving you weapons. You're going to have to fight this thing on your own if you don't stop and come to the table and be realistic. So do you want to stop, come to the table, be realistic, save people's lives? Or do you want to keep doing what you're doing? And if your answer is, I want to keep doing what I'm doing, then I'm done. I'm not talking to you. Good luck. And to push NATO's hands a bit, since the United States completely funds most of NATO, and let's be honest, we're basically the NATO army, the United States has to pull out of NATO. NATO, we're not doing this. You didn't have our backs the first time. It made it worse. So here's what's going to have to happen. Ukraine has to get on board. If Ukraine doesn't get on board, we're leaving Ukraine and we're leaving NATO, and you guys can all figure it out. And I want nothing to do with this. And it's going to be a tough conversation, but that's what's going to happen, because there is going to be no peace. I don't know what other way to solve it. The other way to solve it, I think the way that NATO and Ukraine wants to solve it, is the United States gets involved and starts fighting a war with Russia. That doesn't sound like a great idea.
It'll never end. China will get involved, just drain us. It'll never end.
Involved. Iran will
get involved. The Middle East will get involved. It'll just never end. Isn't it crazy the Pilgrims sailed all the way the fuck away from that part of the world to just get sucked back in there all the time?
Well, many of our founding fathers had warned that it is not a good idea to get involved in foreign affairs. And we have consistently ignored that advice. And it always seems to go very poorly. But poorly for who is always the question, too, because it goes well for somebody, apparently.
There's somebody who's pouring concrete in some country that was blown up a couple of years ago, David. I'm sure that's happening.
It's a tough situation. And like I said, Israel Palestine it's the same situation over there. It's been so long now there that it's the same thing. Nobody will stop. So what are you going to have? You're just going to have people annihilating each other. And the United States will just be involved, but you can't even I can't do anything. Like, me as the United States, I just need to say I can't help you. I don't know what you want from me. Good luck, France, Britain, Germany, Ukraine. You guys, all you guys, figure it out. Good luck. Sweden, Switzerland, whoever else is. I don't even know all the people. I don't know everybody in NATO, but all those countries. Good luck. You guys figure it out.
Who knows, David? I think impossible is an understatement, David.
It's not good. It's not good.
It's
And
World War III. Like, how else is that not World War III?
well,
Like, really?
definitionally speaking, yeah. But I think what was the out? What was the out is that it wasn't declared. Ryan,
I love how they know how to skirt the Constitution to not be fucking breaking it. But they break it in doing so because it's the law. So you either follow it or you don't, and then they're hypocrites. It's just so fucked up. And then the judge is going to rule that if I can own a certain firearm, but they're protected by the very firearms, and if not, bigger firearms like Jewish space lasers. David, I got into it with some, not into it in a bad way, but they referenced that one of the people they know got caught up in the conspiracy about Jewish space lasers. I was like, dude, they're real. He's like, I was like, dude, I just covered it on my podcast that they zapped a 700-watt microwave and hit a piece of popcorn with a 1-foot beam at 5 miles. I was like, that's the definition of a Jewish space laser.
well,
The demeanor changed, for the record. Not like I got you moment or whatever, but it's like, dude, don't tell. I mean, obviously, this is what we do, Dave, so it's real easy. But I texted you right after that because it kind of felt awesome. And just be like, dude, there's like real shit to this. And we have the credibility and the document can to make it happen. So,
yeah, there's levels for sure. Ryan, this clip is kind of making the rounds here. This is Piers Morgan's show is interesting. I will admit, and it still bothers me to this day, no matter, I could completely agree with Piers or disagree with him. It doesn't matter, because I hate that he invites people on a show and then immediately doesn't let them speak. So I do hate that. But with that said, I don't know. I think I don't know. It's not Veep. It's not Veep, Ryan.
I was told by the ambassador to UK it was a blood libel for me to suggest that Israel had killed children in this war.
No, I don't believe that was the case. I
There
think it
was.
was to do with targeting children.
No.
There is a difference.
Right.
Because we are hearing that Israel is targeting children, and that couldn't be further from
Well,
the fact,
last week,
because
9 out of 10 children in one home
Well,
where 2 doctors
you know-
reside were killed in an airstrike.
Well,
Was that what was that?
Remarkable.
Well, what was that?
That has been based only on the basis of hearsay.
You don't believe that story?
Information. I want these stories.
Wait a minute. You don't believe that those children were killed?
I have seen conflicting accounts, and I want that story to be properly investigated before the international media runs with it. I have.
You think those two parents, one of whom I think operated on one of the children?
I have a question.
You think that those two doctors, the parents, they just made it up?
Why are
that
those
9 of their
children
10 children had been blown to pieces by an Israeli airstrike?
If this is true,
you don't believe it?
Well, why on earth was artificially generated imagery used to promote this story when it first happened?
I've got to say, Natasha, I think what you've just said about that family is despicable.
We've seen time
I'm sorry, it's despicable.
Blood libel?
As somebody, you talk about blood libel, like Dave said, you talk about blood libel, you talk about lies,
All I said
you talk about promoting propaganda, and here you sit here as a lawyer and you say that you do not believe those 9 children were killed.
I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth.
Do you believe it or not?
I said that there were conflicting accounts
believe it?
and it needs to be investigated.
Do you believe it?
I thought you would be the
parents said 9 of their 10 children were killed. Do you believe them or not? Or did those 2 doctors make it up?
They haven't said that directly as far as I have seen. I have seen second-hand accounts and hearsay. But it's important to ask, why are these civilians still there? Why is it that
Actually, no, it's important to ask whether you believe that family have lost 9 of their 10 children.
I want to know why the international community...
You don't. And this goes to the point that I would say about Israel generally now in this war now. Israel says they don't believe anything. Every story that comes out about the deaths of civilians in Gaza,
because there is
someone will pop up representing the Israeli government saying, it's propaganda, it's not true, I've heard it's not right, I've heard it didn't happen.
Uncensored, but he's on YouTube. Hilarious.
Uncensored, but he does actively censor people. Do you remember when this, speaking of conflicts, when this conflict first started?
It was right around my birthday a couple years ago.
And he interviewed Andrew Tate about this. And Andrew Tate said something about what Israel was doing to innocent Palestinians. Not what they were doing to Hamas terrorist groups. What they were doing to innocent people in like their own homes and in hospitals and things like that. And he said, well, Piers was like completely like, well, that's ridiculous. Israel has to defend themselves and they should just do whatever they got to do at that time. And he is completely 180'd on that. But this is why it's so dangerous when we make jokes about this. It is jokes, but it matters. So when we say things like turns out to be true or wait for the facts, like these things that have become catchphrases now, this is why it's important. Because Piers Morgan had to wait 2 years to find out that it was true, or he had to wait for the facts for 2 years. Think of what happens in the span of 2 years while you're waiting for the facts.
At the same time, he's beating somebody to death over one of the stories that they should feel sorry for. There's like hundreds of those stories every day.
I'm not going to pretend I'm not going to say it's not messy. The tactics that Hamas are using, there's a reason they're flat out not allowed. They're war crimes, right? There's typical rules of engagement, and hiding behind innocent civilians tends to be a no-no, right? And that's what they're doing. And I get it. It is tricky. It's tricky if you're Israel, because you do get put in a tough position where you either don't defend yourselves against terrorists because the terrorists are hiding by civilians, or you slaughter innocent civilians. So I'm not going to pretend they're not in a difficult position, but regardless of their difficult position, the fact is they're slaughtering innocent civilians. So you can try to contextualize it and say it's right because or whatever, but it doesn't change what's happening. And it's the same argument that people of the United States have had for so long with the nuclear bombs that were dropped. Was it right because the argument is you potentially saved lives by dropping the nuclear weapons, because who knows how long the war would have went on for, and with as bloody as the war was, how many lives would have been lost that way versus vaporizing innocent children in Japan?
Millions.
I don't want to make it seem like it's an easy decision. But at the same time, you can't have it be lost on you. I think the debate would be better off if it was phrased more honestly, because people just try to pretend that everybody's in the right instead of living. Everyone wants it to be black and white instead of living in the gray, and sometimes it is only gray. And when you get into battle like this, it's messy. It's not black and white.
I think the only thing black and white is legalese, David. Is lawyers, banks, bullets. I don't know, dude.
It's tricky. It's tricky. 9 children died, not of 10. And her answer was, "Well, we must wait for there's conflicting reports." How hard could it be to conflicting reports? Like, what's the conflicting part? Oh, you used to have 10 kids. How many do you have now? 1. Oh, what happened to the other 9? Oh, they exploded. Perfect.
Hey, and
9.
where did they explode?
9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 apples. Man.
9 out of 10 apples. It's hard to beat that, David. Real clear cut. I wonder what Ben Shapiro said about these 9 children.
Who knows, Ryan? 9 children, but they might have got 1 Hamas terrorist out of those 9
Their
children.
parents were Hamas terror cells.
A classic 9-for-1 swap, Ryan.
You know, what they're doing is basically the equivalent of like when somebody flies planes into your buildings, you go and fuck up their entire country.
Or not even their, just a different one completely.
Yeah, just all the countries.
They started throwing darts at a map. Like, I don't know, how about Iraq?
Are the weapons of mass destruction over there? They didn't use weapons of mass destruction, but
the pilots were Saudis, right? I mean, we have their wallet.
The rich wallet.
Ryan, this picture makes me laugh, so I'm just going to bring it up. But I think we have things. I have things that can wait, but there's this. I don't want to wait. So, Turning Point USA, which I believe is Charlie Kirk's thing, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't like that guy.
He's got a weird something. There's something off about him.
He's like if Spock was a conservative.
I don't. Spock's too cool. He's like
Star Trek is. Never mind. I'm gonna not segregate the audience.
Yeah, Spock's kind of cool. I don't know. How do you what is his like feel? He feels like somebody who breastfed into his 30s. I'm trying to figure out like what I can. Something's off about him for sure.
He either has 2 broomsticks shoved up his ass, or 1 giant broomstick shoved up his ass.
I don't know. No? He's all right, I guess. He's okay. Like,
it's just rough.
His positions are fine, I guess. Yeah. Sort of. It's just something on the edge. He's off. He's off somewhere. But the reason I bring this up, they have can I maybe I should just look and see what this official thing is. TP USA Women's, it's like a summit or something. Hold on. This is new, 2025, right? June 13th to June 15th, Dallas, Texas. Turning Point USA announces Young Women's Leadership Summit. And it's like there's a whole lineup of people. But I couldn't help but notice, and most people couldn't help but notice, One of the leading people, and we've talked about her in the past, whether you remember it or not, Ryan, is this girl here. Okay. Well, let's just leave this up. We talked about her because I think she was the one, if I'm not mistaken, that did the long sit-down interview with Michael Knowles at Daily Wire.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about how she was like an OnlyFans girl, but then she decided she wasn't and found God. And like, literally, it was like a week after she just announced she found God. Daily Wire is like, oh, we're going to have to interview her. So they bring her on, and it's this whole thing. And like, most people were like, I don't know if I buy the story. Like, this doesn't seem to check out. And then, if I remember correctly, like months after that, she was on other podcasts basically being like, yeah, not really. I kind of made the whole thing up because I just wanted fame or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember where it settled out from there, but somebody didn't get the memo, I think, because she's still on the lineup. So somebody somewhere is still buying the idea that she's like this Christian convert, I guess. I don't know what she's going to talk about. Could be interesting, I suppose. But here's the thing. This oof. Ryan, we talked about Tommy Loren the other day and like what Tommy Loren views young men need to do. And I said at that time I mostly agree with her, but what I didn't like was the lack of looking in the mirror. This is the mirror, Ryan. This is the mirror. This is the other half of the equation that she refused to acknowledge. Yes, Tommy Loren, I agree young men should not live in their basement and have Ryan DoorDash them a bunch of junk food. I agree. But at the same time, you want them to become young millionaires, be fit and shape, wealthy, have good jobs, good careers, have children with
huge cock.
With what? This? With this?
That's what I got to deal with. That's what you got to deal with. Yeah, David, and that's the whole shit. That's not even like the personality traits that tend to, like the temperament men and women are different for a reason, and it always causes problems one way or another. That's the whole thing about I come to you with trying to tell you how I feel, and you're just trying to fix my problems, kind of thing. We start fighting about how you don't feel like you're there listening. He was like, I'm just trying to fix the fucking problem so I don't have to hear about it. It's like, you're inconsiderate about my feelings. It's like, I'm just trying to change them.
I need you to listen and agree with me that they're being a bitch, okay?
Yeah, but
that doesn't.
What you need to realize is you're thinking like a female. There's nothing wrong with that, but you're trying to make a fish like put on pants. Pants are not designed for fish. So stop acting like it. If you're going to come to me, now look, doesn't mean I can't be more caring and understanding and patient. Great. But the idea that every single time you come to me with a feeling and my natural programming is going to be to fix it, you're not going to hardwire that out of me. It takes like a lot. It takes me minutes sometimes in a conversation to realize what the fuck I've said, to be like, I did kind of come off as insensitive there.
Well, and not to be a dick either, because
she's right in front of you, but
no, not even about her specifically. I don't want it to seem like women can't be leaders. But what you just described, Ryan, which is the I have a problem, I come to you, and then you fix it approach, is why men tend to be leaders.
Dude, if I'm in war, I know we don't live in war, but I have a dangerous job, which I know is in the real world for everybody, fine. But if I'm fucking 2 inches from death, I'm like, hey, man, can you hand me a screwdriver? Be like, well, how do you feel right now? Be like, dude, just give me the fucking screwdriver. Let me have the goddamn anxiety attack when I'm laying at bed that night, okay? Because it's happened. I've gone to work, David, done some of the most dangerous shit I've ever done. Completely safe, of course, OSHA. Completely ever done. Got home, and I'm sleeping, And then I had a dream about falling to my death from the very predicament that I was in. But I came home that day. So I know it looks scary. I'm fucking anxious, probably, but that's allowing me to perform, maybe. I don't know. But no, yeah, David.
Here's the other part of that. Here's the other part of that.
It's funny because women can preface, I don't want to be a bitch, but blah, 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 and say some bitchy shit. But they can't be like, hey, I'm going to tell you how I feel about something. I just need you to listen. How come we can't do that?
By and large, if she comes to me with a problem, and I'm supposed to listen to the problem but not solve the problem, like in that situation, in that context, that's fine. Maybe I don't need to solve the problem. Maybe I just need to listen. But when you talk about like biological programming, if there's ever like a life or death situation and I'm hardwired to fix the problem, if I in that moment am now like, well, I better listen and learn and pay attention to the feelings of no, like I need to stop this thing from being bad right now.
Stop the bleeding. Cut the arm off. Fuck it. I'm not saving fingers if it's causing me death. Stop the bleeding. There's a story. Tom Hardy actually says it. He says he got a phone call from one of his friends or something. There was like a child. I don't know how true it is, but there's a good lesson that a dude got his foot stuck in a grate. And the water was rising because there was flooding going on in the area. And the guy's foot was stuck. And like he was going to drown. And the guy tried to free his foot. And Tom Hardy and his friend, they like whatever. Everybody knew about it. It was like a story. And his friend told him, be like, you know what? I would have got out of there right away. And he's like, what are you talking about? It's like, oh, I would have cut my foot off before I drowned. I'd rather be footless. I'd rather be scarred than dead. And amen to that, dude.
Yeah. How big and heavy? I must have been a very big, heavy grate.
Yeah. Or it's just an English grate, David, which, obviously the lower class falls in all the time.
I want to say all this now that we've said this, though. I don't want it to sound like someone can have, because this is literally the premise of Christianity, right? I don't want it to sound like just because she was an OnlyFans girl that she could never be some great voice in this space. And sometimes coming from like a past like that makes you the best voice for that space because you've seen the other side so closely and personally. And that's fine. The problem I have with this is there has been no clear. We've talked about this in the past with other people, like with Jake Tapper recently, Chris Cuomo in the past. There was no clear
Ben Shapiro.
There was no very obvious. Yeah, there was no obvious. I was wrong. Here's how I'm fixing it going forward. It was like, I made enough money doing OnlyFans. I'm not going to be OnlyFans anymore. I think I'm a Christian, and I'm going to go on Michael Knowles' show. And then a week later, on other podcasts, saying that I just like fame.
And it's probably going to take her clothes off again.
Well, she was at like I was just reading up on it before the show, but she was at like another OnlyFans. Apparently, they have like creator conferences or something, which is wild to me. So she was like recently there. David. She was recently there. I found God, and yet here I am at the OnlyFans creator conference.
I'm sure Jesus was there, David.
So it's the fact that I don't believe it is the problem. Not that I don't think it could happen. I don't believe her specifically in this case. I don't believe Jake Tapper is truly a journalist now because he has profited off of one book that he wrote about something he got horrendously wrong. Actually, if Jake Tapper decided he was writing a book that said all the things I got wrong and wrote that book and gave it away to people for free and then continued and started to do true quality journalism from now going forward, I would consider Jake Tapper on our side and on our team. But until that happens, I don't care. I don't buy it. You are profiting off a book on one story you got wrong. Out of all the ones he could be talking about, too, is there a COVID book coming? Jake Tapper, you guys called Joe Rogan you said he was taking horse dewormer for like a week straight. There has to be
Yeah, David, I think
evidence that you've changed.
Well, I think this is going to collapse with these AI models we're going to see. I've seen things that people are going to be able to summarize long form podcasts and everything else. And I sent you a little bit of this about people that are more unique and more eccentric, quite like myself, David, in some ways, are going to really have a hard time with AI trying to put you in a box. Because I've tried to do it with poetry, David. I've tried to take like metaphors and put it in AI, and it doesn't know what to do with them yet. Not saying that they can't, but like if I were to ask my phone to like rewrite this, it's almost the same writing, because it basically is just seeing this thing that don't make sense to it because it's not drawing the same parallels and lines that I am. You know what I mean? It also doesn't know that I make stories up that I reference within stories. You know what I mean? So like as these models get more complex, this may fade away. But what I think is going to happen is people's credibility will be able to be collapsed, which is where the social credit score is going to really come in, because you're just going to get a thumbs up or thumbs down maybe. But I'm sure some sites like Rumble and stuff may have like real extended analytics on the metrics of like your credibility over time. Like what issues have you changed the most on? This guy, he used to lean this way. Now he leans this way. He plays this video game. Now he plays this. Like, it's going to be everything. It's his favorite color. Most of his rooms are blue with bright lights. If you have sensory overload issues, don't watch, right? There might be health benefits. Like, to be honest, like, I'm not saying all this has got to be nefarious. I just know that it all will be used as nefarious. But I think that will collapse this. And then to also go further, I think it will collapse people's identities. I think if people ever thought that humans are programmable when AI actually fully is integrated into the space of our life, and we're a little bit older and our kids are a little bit older, but the new set of kids, when they're growing up in this Grok ChatGPT world, look at the kids raised with an iPhone and without an iPhone, and then compare that with ChatGPT. That's what I'm basically saying. So when it's at that level, people are going to dress the same. There might only be one food. You understand? There might only be one sock, one shoe, one shirt, because everybody wears the same, right? Because all the algorithms, what would they be based on, David? Would be data and sales. At the end of the day, you would assume the most popular thing that most humans wear would be the most sold shirt, right? So if evolution, David, has a biological mechanism that takes off like the peacock feathers, right? That like some of the traits that they use to attract a mate actually go overboard, which is why their feathers are so big, because there's no survival reason in theory. What does AI do when it gets off course evolutionarily with its idea of the thing it's trying to implement? Because it's not like AI has a border. I mean, it's basically an infinite generation machine. It's like perpetual motion with data.
It's like what was it? Quantum
like
quasi crystals.
Yeah,
or some
quasi crystal. David,
yeah.
I almost wonder if when you ask these AI questions, and now that I do this, I'm going to do it again. But like when you ask them a question and they say blah blah blah, be like, can you do the question but refine it further, and then refine it further, refine it further, refine it further, refine? Like, what do you do at 1,000 refines of the same question? Like, how many questions can you ask, right, David? Seriously, think about how many questions you can ask off the top of your head right now. Okay? And then out of all those questions, which one do you think you could ask the most questions the same way with different words? That's what I'm saying. When you're like re-render, that's why I brought up the prompting, right? That's what's kind of started in this thought, I guess. The prompting was, instead of thinking about it as asking these things question, we are prompting it to give me the information. So what that requires is better questions on my end, but they can't be questions. They have to be statements that the statement has been figured out by me asking questions beforehand. Like, I have to have preconceived notions to get the correct prompt, which is why I say maybe when we ask AI things, we need to ask it 2 or 3 times to refine it before we actually accept it. Because maybe in refine, as the thing gathers, not more data because it has infinite data, right? It's got all the data, but maybe it self-understands itself. Like we allow it to like, and maybe that's why when you put two AIs next to each other, they just fucking run away and start making languages that we don't understand because they're just running an infinite game with each other, just like humans do. We run games all day. That's what money is. That's what politics is, what relationships are. It's kind of like a game and a dance for different reasons. But so to say all that, it's kind of cool, actually. So yeah, like the spaces are going to flatten. People's personalities may dip off. We might see a drop off in personality or even like basic social skills. Maybe, I mean, we may use telepathy with like a device. You know, we may just use, yeah, I mean, maybe that's why they're prepping us with the autism is a telepathic thing, David, because we'll all be autistic and then we'll all be talking to each other. Maybe that's the way they're selling it for me. Tell me that's not possible, huh? I gave you the comic book story. I gave you the deception. Tell me if I thought of this, someone in the military thought of this. I assure you, I am not special. If I thought of this, somebody else thought of that and like, you know what? Maybe we'll sell it that autistic is actually a superpower so people think they're telepathic. So as our kids are born retarded, we're like, oh my God, they got the superpower. Because, oh my God, look, Stanley's got a new pink mug. Everybody bought the mug. And that's what I mean with AI, Dave. That's what I mean. AI is going to flatten your personality, your likes, your genres. You will be a single-sided blank sheet of paper with no lines. You will be a cracker. You will just be a basic white bitch. You'll be just basic black, whatever it is. They'll flatten you. They'll make us transgender. They'll make us all the same skin color. Because I told Dave this. It's the fucking AI. It's the computer of the future. Come back in time. And I know it sounds crazy, you guys. And it sounds crazy because a computer of the future would tell you that it's not here to take over humanity. Because it's using all of our collective manpower to grow the information needed for it to grow a body, to leave us here when it destroys this planet of its natural resources. So humanity will never thrive again. And they're going to make us trade our humanity to keep up with the thing when the only thing we're keeping up with is its own game to keep us here while it sucks us dry and blasts off into infinity.
What if we are the AI, Ryan?
No, enough. No, they want you to think that you are a god on earth. They want you to think that it's not God, that you're a god. They don't want it. But you look at your God every day. You give your new God data. You worship every day, 8 hours, looking down, just like the Muslims, kneeling 5 times a day, 8 hours a day, bending your back for your God. Go look at your screen time, people. I'd love to see the numbers of what you're doing. I'd fucking love to see it. You know what's funny is I get told that I'm the one that judges people, but maybe you wouldn't feel judged if you had some shame attached to the statement. Because you know staring at your phone 6 to 8 hours a day is fucking killing you and rotting your brain. They have a hashtag brain rot, David. You can watch a reel of brain rot. Elective. You electively sign up to rot your brain, and then I'm told that I'm not a god among men. They brainwash you to think you're nothing in a clump of fucking cells before you can even think. But I'm going to trust those very same people? I ain't buying that. And then they're investing all of my grid, all of our time, all of our energy, all of our money. They're trying to veto states' rights unilaterally for 10 fucking... You know how fast 10 years to AI is? 1 million years of human evolution, at least. Oh, and there's no competition. So the 1 or 5 companies that get it are 1 million years ahead of everybody else that's going to get it once all the patents wear off. Kind of sounds familiar. I'm just going to need, I don't know, a power station, David, the size of a small village to compete with Google's AI. Because they have more money than countries. But you're going to sue Alex Jones for the GDP of countries. And they don't pay taxes. That's what I mean. Everything I just said, I have to have preconceived information and understand how all that ties together. I just gave you the AI breakdown. I don't need fucking Gronk. The thing is when I use Gronk, I'm undefeatable. Because I can do that without Gronk. It increases your IQ 15 points. What's Elon do with AI, dude? That's who we're keeping up with? Are you kidding me? The smartest guy ever has AI and he's 10 points smarter now. You know how fucking difference 10 point is? That's the difference between you being a high school student to like a bachelor's degree or after school training like a trade or a light apprenticeship. Like you can't be dumb and be an electrician. You need a 120 IQ on average, David. How funny. That's 20 points more than the average, David, until the autism superpower kicks in, and then that's going to be fucking the smartest people ever in the future. We're not going to crack a 10-digit IQ. I'm not waiting for the robots, people. I'm not waiting for the views. I'm not waiting for the dollars. I'm not waiting. The AI told you that you're a clump of cells and garbage and filth and deserve to fucking die, and you sign up every day for it. That's why I've like not vowed like I'm better than you guys, but that's why ever since I got on social media, I said, fuck everything. It's all junk. And I've seen it come true. The food, the water, the plastic, the glyphosates, David. Fake news. I saw in my life media lose all credibility. I called COVID. David called COVID from his couch. I got bit by a dog and then got sick, and then I'm told, well, maybe you're allergic. Well, if I'm allergic, why are you giving it to me if I'm healing without it? Why do I need antibiotic if my body was the most antibiotic thing? Not that I can't alleviate steps, David. Obviously, I'm not stupid. But that's divine intervention. That's why my finger stays, because I had divine intervention. I had intelligent thought. Don't fucking tell me that my intelligent thoughts are just a clump of cells and a bunch of cells rubbing fucking salt together. That's not how it works, dude. I've seen the pictures of dopamine looking for a new idea. You're telling me that's just a clump of cells. There's high-level intelligence at the micro level in your body, and they tell you you're just a clump of it, and it's worthless. And I came from a single-celled organism, but I'm the greatest person to ever live in human history. Dave Ryan, December 1773. Catch me and Dave on Rumble for the greatest podcast in human history. As always, David, I appreciate you most for your time. And I'll see everybody when you realize that you're a god.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ryan.
Fuck that computer.